right? But whenever their impulses from these two pathways collide each other, they find each other refractory, so they cannot stimulate each other. Is that right? And impulses die out. Is that right? In a normal heart, attention please, in a normal heart, when bundle of Kent is not there, impulse start from here, depolarize the atrium, go through AV node down in a normal heart. And through the AV node, impulse come down and then it goes up, and here it dies out in normal heart because fibrous tissue don't allow the impulse to go out. In a patient with Wolff-Parkinson syndrome, when patient is not having tachyarrhythmia, impulse may go down from any one of these pathways or even by both pathways, but it cannot re-enter because impulses collide with each other and they find area from each other refractory and resistant. Clear? No problem here. For example, this impulse comes rapidly here and this impulse also comes. Now, this impulse which came through pathway number 1 find the tissue of the number 2, all sodium channels inactive, so cannot stimulate. Or impulse which is coming through pathway number 2, when it collides with the tissue which is under influence of pathway number 1, it finds that that tissue is also having inactive sodium channels, cannot. So normally re-entry does not occur. Now, when these patients develop tachyarrhythmia and how they develop? They develop tachyarrhythmia when atrium may have some ectopic focus. Is that right? When there is ectopic focus, before really I go for that, I want to highlight one thing. SA node is, let's suppose, firing every minute 80 times. Or suppose SA node is firing 72 times per minute. It means if a patient with Wolff-Parkinson syndrome, when he is not having tachycardia and SA node is firing at 72 times per minute, it means SA node release an impulse every 0.8 second. You know, see, in 60 minutes 72 beats, so it means every beat is released after 0.8 second. Is that right? So ventricle will also contract every 0.8 second. This is what is happening when ventricular tachyarrhythmia is not there. Now you imagine, let's suppose his atrium is irritated, and in the atrium there is some myocardial cell which is abnormal here. Maybe this myocardial cell is ischemic, or it is digitalized, or this myocardial cell is overloaded with calcium due to any reason, right? Due to that reason, this myocardial cell produces what? Ectopic electrical activity. Now, when it will produce ectopic electrical activity, is that right? When it produces ectopic electrical activity, is that right? Current will go to this pathway as well as it will go to this pathway. Is that right? Let's suppose that current failed to propagate through this. Why? There are two pathways available to go down. In one pathway, current failed to go down. Why? Let me explain why. Before it could fire, previous normal impulse may have gone through this pathway. When normal impulse has gone through this pathway and it is spreading over here, is that right? It means this was getting depolarized. Now, when this system fired, AV node was responsive because it has come out of refractory period, but this is still stuck into refractory period. So impulse fail on this but pass through this. So what really happens for reentrant tachyarrhythmia, the condition number 1 is there should be 2 pathways available. For a stimulus, there should be how many pathways? 2 pathways available, and through one pathway it goes down and from other pathways it gets stuck and it dies out there. Is that right? Now through this one pathway it goes down. By the time it goes down, travels and travels and travels and travels, by the time it comes back, it has come out of refractory period. So impulse enter into bundle of Kent, and from this it goes to the atrium. Through the bundle of Kent it comes and depolarizes atrium, and then again it is reaching to AV node, and maybe by this time AV node has recovered from its refractory period and it again cycled down. Now this cycle down takes only 0.3 seconds. Now listen carefully. I will repeat it again. Abnormal focus, ectopic focus fired. One pathway did not allow the impulse other pathway allowed the impulse, right? So through the conducting pathway, impulse went down, and through the non-conducting pathway, maybe by the time impulse has gone down, non-conductive pathway has become available for excitation. It has recovered from its refractory period. So it means when this impulse was generated, this did not allow antigrade travel. But when impulse was coming from down upward, it allowed the retrograde travel, because during the retrograde travel, this tissue was out of refractory period. And now it comes here and again stimulate through the atrium AV node. In normal case, AV node was stimulated through SA node every 0.8 second, but through this cycle, AV node will be stimulated every 0.3 second. So AV node will be stimulated, the cycle will be completed every 0.3 second, and same impulse is re-entering again and again into ventricle. Is that right? And ventricular rhythm will become slow or fast? Fast. And we say tachyarrhythmia has started. But this tachyarrhythmia has developed because it is a phenomenon of re-entry from ventricle through bundle of Kent to atrium, from the atrium to AV node, then to the ventricle. Or cycle may reverse even. Sometimes it happens, ectopic focus fire, AV node failed to conduct, but bundle of Kent conducts. Now current will move from bundle of Kent down and come back, and AV node may have become available, and then it will re-enter. So cycle may move in any direction, but if cycle is completing every 0.3 second, of course it means that if one cycle is every 0.3 second, in 60 seconds, how many cycles? Who has a good math? It's 200, it's so simple. Look, one cycle is 0.3 second, 10 cycles are 3 seconds. You get it? One cycle is 0.3 second, 10 cycle will take 3 seconds, 100 cycles will take 30 seconds, and 200 cycles will take 60 seconds. So patient will have 200 stimulations every minute. So patient will be having tachyarrhythmia, re-entrant tachyarrhythmia, and because the cause of the problem is at the junction between the atrium and ventricle, we also call it junctional tachyarrhythmia, present in Wolff-Parkinson's-White syndrome. Am I clear? Now another way to explain the same thing is, so there are two ways to manage it. Look, either you give calcium channel blocker and slow down the AV node, or you give sodium channel blockers and slow down the bundle of Kent